Okay, now we're ready to go. Good evening. Welcome to the April 3rd meeting of the Scituate Conservation Commission. Apologies for the little bit of a late delay. I just have to read a couple of things. We can get started. First off, this meeting is being held remotely as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You're hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Scituate in accordance with the open meeting law. And then just a little piece here. Town of Scituate, Mass. Commitment to statement to diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Scituate Conservation Commission is committed to providing an environment of respect during meetings. We ask that all members to interact in a polite manner, even when there's disagreement. We value the participation of our community and want all participants, including marginalized and minoritized communities, to feel welcome and respected. And we ask that our committee members and all who participate to commit to these standards and support and respect our community. So with that said, I would like
a motion
on the agenda with a couple of things. I would like to discuss some open space issues at the end of the meeting, provided there's enough time. And I also had a request from the Scouts regarding a camp out. So I didn't get a chance to get that on.
Yes. Okay, so I'll make a motion. We accept the agenda as written with the 2 add-ons from Frank.
Okay, anybody else have anything to add?
Nope, I would second that motion.
Thanks, Jen. So all in favor, Doug?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Brendan?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. Thank you. So then, just if anybody's waiting for certain things, I think tonight it looks like we're going to be continuing. Are we continuing 181 Edward Foster to May 15th? We'll read it at the time, but I just want to be sure. The Fourth Cliff, Northern Humrock, that'll be continued until April 24th. And
Border Street.
61 Border Street, they're asking to be continued to May 1st.
And
So, all right, so we'll
63 Border.
And 61 and 63. Thanks, Penny.
Yep, and Hollitt Street.
I didn't see that on the request.
1 Hollitt.
Okay, well, I got to open that.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Unless they change them. No, it says, yeah.
Okay. I'm not seeing it, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
All right.
No.
So looks like 181 Edward Foster Road is requesting a continuance to May 15th. Can I get a motion?
Yep, so moved.
And a second?
Second.
By Doug, all in favor. Jen?
Yep.
Andy?
Yes.
And Brendan?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. Thank you. Central Ave, Northern Humrock. This is the United States Air Force property, and they're looking to be continued to April 24th. In motion on that?
So moved.
Penny? A second?
Second from Jen.
From Jen, all in favor. Doug?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Brendan?
Yes.
Frank, yes. Thank you. 30 Manchester Street. Do we have someone from Merrill?
He hopes so.
Yeah, we have Dana Altabello is on from Merrill. We did get some new plans.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah.
As Amy mentioned, my name is Dana Altabello with Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors. I'm here with the applicant, Linda Coker, as well as the architect, Julie Johnson, and the landscape architect, Sean Papich. Just a quick overview. The property is located with Manchester Street being to the north of the property, Humrock Beach being to the east, The site is currently developed with a single-family dwelling, a detached garage, a paved driveway, paved storage area to the rear of the property, and other at-grade concrete walkways and patios. Since the last hearing, we've separated an existing conditions plan just to make it easier to see what's existing and what's proposed. So we have sheet 2 now, which is shown currently. It shows the proposed development of the property. We've eliminated the originally proposed stone wall and fencing along the passageway, the 13-foot wide passageway off of Manchester Street. We've replaced that with a 42-inch high open base fence with, it'll just be like a regular, the picket style fence. So it'll easily allow sand and wind and water to pass through. We have included a coastal dune impact table. This kind of compares the existing and proposed impacts on site, including dune coverage and linear obstruction. The non-compliant dune coverage on site will be reduced from currently it's at 5,889 square feet. It'll be reduced to 415 square feet. That's over a 90% reduction, and it'll be reduced by 5,474 square feet. The linear obstructions, including walls, foundations, fences, etc., will be reduced from 570 linear feet down to approximately 65 linear feet, which is an 89% reduction, and that will actually provide openings for water flow through and sand flow. So I've shown the walls in there is 65 feet, but it's actually got some openings, so that's a little more compliant. The garage has been modified since we last met to be constructed on pilings. There will be 24-inch vertical lattice up from finished grade to a minimum of 24 inches high. The planters along the front of the house, as I mentioned, have been modified to have open spillway openings to allow sand and wind and water to pass through the planters themselves. And the structural plans have been modified to show the new piling foundations for the garage itself, just to show how that will be constructed. I think that's pretty much it. As I mentioned, we really focused on trying to eliminate non-compliant dune coverage on the property. We've substantially reduced the existing coverage. The non-compliant coverage is really very little left on the property. We've eliminated all paved parking areas, concrete patios, anything at grade that's a poured concrete surface has basically been eliminated. The structures themselves have been raised up on pilings. The existing foundations will all be eliminated. There'll be no more basements and at grade patios and parking areas, etc. I think that's pretty much it. If you had any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Hey, great. Thank you, Dina.
Sure.
Oh, our go-to guy for Humrock isn't here tonight. Wants to take his place. Doug?
I like Humrock.
Good.
No, it sounds like the big change between this and last time is the garage is now elevated, which I'll say I didn't catch that the first time that we required that. So with that in there, it seems like they're impervious. At least there's an substantial overall reduction, and seems to me like the site's going to look a lot cleaner than it did as well. So I don't actually have any more questions.
Amy, I should have asked you if you wanted to weigh in on this first.
Yeah, I mean, you probably should have me weigh in on it.
No, I apologize.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I mean, we continued, I think the last time, because we were waiting, you noticed that we were gonna get DEP comments on the project number, and we have not received those yet. So I still feel like we're waiting for those. And as far as comments, I mean, I think it's good that I haven't reviewed the elevated garage, but I mean, if it's elevated in conformance with the requirements, then that's great. So we do know we want to have the dune be able to move, shift, and migrate as much as possible. One of the clarification items that I did get was for the coverage of the dune. So, you know, on an expansion that's this big on this property, you know, as Dana said, it's definitely an improvement to have as much of the current impervious removed, patios removed, and stuff like that. But so as much of the natural dune, vegetated dune to remain so that the dune can function. So that's the dune moving around. I know that we do often allow people to have pervious pavers, like as a good thing because it can infiltrate, but it's not the infiltration that we're going for here. It's more letting the sand migrate. So I'm going to say that the clarification that I did get from the state, not CZM, was that just as much natural, like it should be shells or gravel, no, you know, not hardscaping, not pervious pavers, not patios. It should be as natural as possible and elevated. That would be what we would be looking for. So, and also the DEP number. And I think that the risk of closing without having DEP, like if they weigh in after, then it could be that it ends up going through the MIPA process. So we might want to wait to make sure that they're not going to be doing that like they said they were.
Okay. Well, why don't we go through the members, see what else is there for questions, and then we can figure out what we have to do with that. Jen? Thanks, Amy.
Yeah, I would echo Doug's comments. It feels as though based on what Dana mentioned in the beginning in terms of changes that have been made since the last time, we're in a good place. I'm happy with it, so I'm good.
Okay. All right. Andy?
And nothing further to add than has been said. Good.
Okay. Brendan?
Yeah, I have nothing else. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Do we have anybody in the audience that wants to speak to this?
Penny
Hey.
does.
Who do we got?
Pen.
Yeah,
Penny, I think did I ask you first?
no.
No? Oh, sorry, Penny, go ahead.
That's okay. No, I'm very happy with the plan that they've submitted. I think it's unfortunate that DEP or whoever didn't get back to Amy in a timely manner because we have been seeing this for a while. But no, I'm happy with what they've done. And I love the garage being raised up and not on a concrete. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Penny. I've got a few questions. I'm pulling up the piling plan. I'm trying to look at the cross sections. Can somebody, I'm not seeing a cross section for the garage, I don't think. Maybe one of the applicants can explain that. Unless it's blocked out or something that I'm just not seeing.
I could share my screen, and I thought
Yeah,
there was a
I don't think we can do that.
no. It's focused on plan view, and then there are a couple of details of the connections. Where is it? Yes, 2 point.
For the Rivermore plans, Frank?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Rivermore plans.
So it's
And
H
I'm
and F. Oh,
I'm
I'm sorry.
seeing, I first there's a arrow, a plan view of both the house and the garage, and then the third and fourth sheet have some cross sections. But I don't know that anywhere in those cross sections I'm seeing anything about the garage. Maybe somebody could just explain how they're planning to build it, unless I'm missing something.
So
Last
they-
time we had a meeting, I couldn't find a deck, so that's maybe I need glasses.
I have 2.2.
I think the pile cap details on the second sheet kind of loosely describe the typical connections. The piles will be up 2 feet above existing grade, then there'll be kind of a beam that's going to carry the upper portion of the garage, and then the lower area will be covered by the vertical lattice at grade.
So that beam is going to be a couple feet high, and then there's going to be lattice between the
Between the piles.
and then what's the floor of the garage, Dana?
We're just going to leave it. Originally, we had shown previous pavers. That was what we, ideally that's been used over at the Village of South River, Village at South River, and several other sites. So we thought it, might be a good application here. So that's what we had originally shown there.
So it's pervious pavers in the garage,
That's correct.
or gravel.
Yeah, either. Ideally, pervious pavers, just so you'd have a stable surface for the garage. And
Yeah. All right. Again, maybe if we are going to continue this, maybe somebody could just add a detail for the garage.
There's a pile layout.
I see the pile layout, Doug, but like for the cross section of the other parts of the house, I understand how that works. So there's piles, and then there's beams, and then there's walls on top of that. I can see all that. But I'm just not seeing a cross section.
Right.
Unless the architect's on that can tell me that it's there, or
If while we're waiting, given that they've come back a handful of times and we haven't gotten DEP comments, is there something we could do in terms of closing pending comments? Or I don't know if the applicant would be wanting that, but we do have so much kind of bubbling over week to week that the more we can close, the better.
did anybody reach out to DEP on that? Why they had not commented, Amy or Dana?
Yeah, I did, and I mean, they said they have 21 days from receipt of information. I think they're still in their window.
I did.
Not
I'm
waiting,
sorry.
not waiting, it's the applicant, really, the project is.
I did reach out to DEP. I spoke with Greg DeCesar on Friday. We kind of went through the different changes. He didn't indicate that he had specific comments to make or formal comments, but he seemed like he was kind of on board with it being an improvement over what was there. Certainly with the removal of the foundations and the pavement, et cetera.
Okay. Did anybody note the plunge pool on the side of this and the way that was supported?
He didn't mention that at all.
And how about commission members? Sorry.
I remember from the first meeting talking about it, but I don't remember the commentary around it.
Construct on elevated platform.
As long as the plunge pool is elevated above
Yeah,
FEMA standards, I think it's okay. It's
Yeah.
just be above for a structure.
There's a little note down in the bottom of the plan that gives it, it shows it being supported on helical piles.
Well, that's good with me.
Okay.
It's only 7 by 13. It's not, it's just a plunge. Pop in, pop out.
Well,
So-
Pop in and stay in.
this may not, this plan set might not be good enough for a building permit.
Well, they'll find out.
Well, it's, I mean, if, to Amy's point, if we close and there's anything significant from DEP, what would we wind up doing? Having to amend these orders?
No, my understanding is that DEP pulls it and then it just, the risk is that the applicant would end up proceeding. Not that there's even anything wrong with it. It's just that they could pull it out and it would end up going through the entire MEPA process. So that's the risk. And I also spoke to Greg on Friday, actually, and it's funny because my take from the conversation was not the same as Dana's, so.
How much longer would DEP have to comment?
Next week.
Because we're not meeting again until the 24th. I guess I don't understand, Amy, why if DEP's comments were not huge, why would it have to go through that process and not just us amending our orders?
Because the state has different review thresholds, I guess.
Okay.
Well, could we ask the applicant, do they want to risk it or?
I think I would leave that up to Linda. She's the applicant. I guess maybe if there were no substantial comments, one option is to, have it be a real informal, a formal hearing next time, but maybe less presentation. And, if we've identified any issues or it seems like everybody seems to be comfortable, maybe if we had to keep it open one more hearing, maybe it's just a quicker process the next time.
Well, I think that seems like what we're waiting for. We have Linda with her hand up. Maybe we can let her in.
1, 2, 3. So,
Linda, are you there?
Yeah. Linda, you're on.
not coming through.
Can we jump, maybe we'll continue Water Street and then go to 13th Circuit Ave and then circle back to Dana? Maybe you can try to reach a client. We got Sean on with a hand up. Can we let Sean in?
Hi there.
Good
Okay.
evening.
Good evening. I think Linda's up now. I think I can see Linda up on the screen. Hopefully we can hear her now. That's all I was hoping to do is I saw Linda just finally pop up there.
Can't
Okay.
hear her yet.
Can't hear her yet. Yeah,
Like maybe her microphone isn't connected.
something's happening where we can't hear her. That's all I was trying to do, Frank, is give the heads up because I saw the picture pop up.
Sure.
Yeah.
We can see her hand raised, but
Nobody can hear me.
Oh, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay, okay. Sorry, I have a new computer and I don't know all the buttons, but yes. So, I'm sorry, what was the question again?
so, we haven't received comment from DEP on your project. And,
Because I thought we did, and that Dana had the comment from DEP. So, but you're not accepting that because it's not in writing. Is
well,
that?
both Amy and Dana had, conversations with, Greg DeCesar at DEP. And,
Mhm.
typically we get something in writing from them.
Okay,
And we just haven't got it. So
okay.
if we close this hearing and then
Mhm.
there's issues from DEP, it makes the process more difficult to move forward.
Okay,
If
so
go ahead.
what I would like from Dana and Amy is just to say whether or not there were more issues that they thought would come up with DEP besides the one that's on our table right in front of us right now, because we think we can solve that. So are there other things that you think will come up, Amy and Dana from DEP, that we couldn't go forward with an order of conditions?
Excuse me, I think the only thing he had mentioned to me was the previous paver garage was not something they would prefer not to see that in the Barrier Beach coastal dune environment. We kind of discussed that. Other than that, he seemed pretty open to the rest, the raising of the structures, the openings and the fencing along the 15 or 13-foot wide passageway, the elimination of all the impervious surfaces, the planting of the American beach grass and eliminating kind of the yard, that all seemed to be positive. He didn't
And
really
is that
have anything.
Amy's opinion as well?
Yeah, so my opinion is that they should be weighing in on an opinion about the garage, elevating the garage without pervious pavers on the dune as well. So,
Okay.
discouraging.
I mean, I think we're fine with that.
Yeah.
But we don't want to come the 5th time in front of this board. So I think we have to like move forward. And if that's what both you and Dana got from DPA, then let's do it.
Okay, can I just ask a question before we close this, Frank?
Yeah.
Okay, if I'm understanding this, they would prefer you didn't use the pavers, but he didn't say absolutely no. Am I understanding that right, Dana?
I think the way he phrased it was that it doesn't necessarily meet the intent of or the requirements of the performance standards of the dune. But I think it seemed like there might be a little bit of wiggle room where if there's enough improvements, it might be something that the commission may be able to, it has been approved in the past. But I guess technically to the letter of the law, it doesn't meet the performance standards.
All right, but as long as your client's comfortable with that possibility, I'm all, okay.
Yeah,
So should we,
Yeah, I am, Penny. I am.
well, that's
I-
what's important.
Yeah. I mean, we
Right.
would still go forward with the project if we had to do it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to make a side comment here, and it doesn't have anything really to do with our project, but I have a lot of neighbors that are asking me about raising their house up on pilings right now, which really is ideal. But we're giving up like 5,400 square feet of impervious pavement to
Yeah.
get not even 400. And we're still getting a lot of resistance from that. And so my advice to them in the future would be, don't do it. But it's okay. But it's okay. Like, I'm willing to do it, but most of them are not. And I think our objective in Hummerock is to get everybody to raise their houses. And, but a lot of people are not willing to give up all that asphalt and that concrete that they have. But I am. I want to do it. I believe in it. And I did it to the house next door. We got rid of all of it. But anyway, that's just a side comment there.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, Frank, can I
Yep.
make a motion?
Sure.
I make a motion to close.
Okay. We have a motion from Penny. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Doug. All in favor, Jen?
Yeah.
Andy?
Yes.
Brendan?
Yes.
Frank, yes. Okay. One of the things, we're going to get a set of orders, and there's going to be some items in the orders, obviously, as to things we discussed this evening. One of them is I do want to see a detail of that cross section in the garage. Dana.
Sure.
Might be the structural engineer, but I think that's important to have that understanding. That's about it from me.
Okay, we can ask them and get that going now.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Have a good
evening.
night. You too.
Thanks, you too.
All right. 61 Border Street, we have a request to continue that till May 1st.
So moved.
So that's a motion from Penny, second from
Second from Brendan.
Brendan. All in favor, Doug,
Yes.
Jen,
1, 2,
Yep.
3,
and Andy.
4,
Yes.
5.
Thank you. 63 Border Street,
Same thing.
also the request to continue to May 1st.
I'll second that.
So moved.
All right, so Penny moved it, Brendan seconded it. All in
seconds.
favor, Doug,
Yes.
Jen.
Yep.
Andy,
Yes.
and Frank. Thank you. 1 Holland Street. They're actually requesting a continuance to May 1st.
So moved.
That might be your marathon meeting, Doug.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
God
think it's,
help us.
oh,
Dude.
I'm gonna be in Kentucky.
Ah,
You can Zoom from Kentucky.
Yeah. No, they don't have internet there.
oh,
Oh.
yeah, yeah. All right,
Let's-
so moved. Let's vote it.
So I got a motion to continue 1 Holland Street to,
Okay.
oh, shoot, I do. Thanks, Jen. Got to open it and continue.
Oh,
So on April 3rd, 2023 at 6 p.m., the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws to amend the order of conditions issued under DEP file number 68-2845 regarding the application of Elaine Cole for work related to a raise and rebuild of a single-family dwelling on property located at 1 Hollis Street, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the meeting will be available on the agenda posted on the town website. And then with that, there's the request to continue that to May 1st. So now I can take that motion.
yes, so moved.
From Penny in a second.
I'll second that.
Second from Jen.
I
Oh, a race.
I think Brendan got you, Jen. All in
Yeah, he did.
favor, Doug,
Yes.
Jen?
Yep.
Andy,
Yes.
Frank, yes. Okay.
All
So
right.
now we want to do 13 Circuit Ave.
Yeah,
And this is continued. And that's not continued, right? We can,
no,
okay.
unless they called in today.
And do we have somebody, I think that was Grady?
Yep.
Yeah, this is gonna be really quick. We're not gonna go through the whole project again. All we were doing was just confirming something on the plan. So we have Scott Fanara here from Grady, but it was just all we were gonna do was come on and close the project. So,
No, amendment.
I think the discussion was whether there'd be work on the seawall or it would be okay to do that stuff, and you guys must have resolved that, right?
yeah, it was resolved, yeah.
Okay, so can we? What are we gonna do? We're gonna,
So unless anybody has anything they want to add,
an amendment. Do we close on an amendment or accept it?
No, you close it.
Okay, I'll make a motion to close 13th Circuit.
do I have a second? Well, actually, was there anybody in the audience for this? I mean, we at least have to,
Yeah,
I'm not seeing anything, but
no,
and none of the other members have
Is
anything.
this the one that one of the questions was that the town was gonna be working on the seawall as well? And
Yes.
and this was gonna be in sync with that, and that's been resolved?
It probably won't be in sync because the town has no immediate plans to work on that seawall, so.
Okay,
Yeah, Doug, just to answer that question, Scott Fanar with Grady Consulting. The work is pretty far out. And also all the work that they will be doing in the future will be from the ocean side anyway, so it should not have an impact here.
okay, all right, thanks. Now I
Okay.
remember the project.
All right, so I guess I got a motion from Penny, right?
yes,
And a second from Jen. So all in favor, Doug,
Yes,
Andy,
Yes.
Brendan,
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Great,
You know, we can make a motion to issue this too.
okay.
I'll make a motion to issue orders on 13th Circuit.
Okay. A second from Jen again.
Yep.
And all in favor, Doug,
yes,
Andy,
Yes.
Brendan,
Yes.
and Frank, yes, thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. On April 3rd, 2023, 6 p.m. the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Matthew and Amanda McCarthy for work related to constructing an accessory structure at location 31 Rosa Lane in Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the virtual meeting will be available on the agenda posted on the website. Okay. And who do we have on?
This is Greg Morse, registered engineer with Morse Engineering.
Good evening, Greg.
Good evening. I'm representing the property owners, Matthew and Amanda McCarthy, as was just read into the record. This is a notice of intent for work at their property at 31 Roses Lane, a proposal to construct an accessory building at the property. The existing site is approximately 25,012 square feet. Along the rear property line, there is a bordering vegetated wetland. It was delineated by John Zimmer, a professional wetland scientist of South River Environmental Consulting. We've highlighted that in blue on the plan. Off of that, in red is the 50-foot buffer zone, and in green, the 100-foot buffer zone. The proposal here is to construct a new detached accessory building. It's 28 feet by 36 feet. The first level would be a 2-car garage with a living space bonus room above the garage. The work is proposed entirely over existing lawn area. There are 2 buildings at the site, 2 Quonset hut buildings, one that's located in the area of the proposed accessory building, another one that's located in the backyard. Those would both be removed as part of this project. There's no change in the topography or grading associated with this project. There is no vegetation or tree removal with this project. There's an erosion control barrier around the limit of work, and DEP had no comments. I turn it over to you.
Okay. Amy?
Sure, so, I mean, this is an unusual one where you don't usually see people just come right out of the gate and go for a project right into the buffer zone like this.
Oh,
So Scituate does have a no disturb 50-foot area, but this area appears to be already disturbed. So I don't know, I guess maybe there's an improvement you could get. I mean, I'm not so sure that the area that they're in, you know, isn't already altered wetland, to tell you the truth. It's kind of a low lying kind of wet area. I'm not sure what to say, Frank. I'm not so sure it would be something that we would look fondly upon.
I was just trying to pull this up on my own screen, but I couldn't find it. What is the building? Oh, well, let me move on to members. Jen? Sorry.
Yeah, it's pretty aggressively in the buffer. So I guess it's obviously not something that I would want. I was trying to look at this to see if there was, you know, some other spot.
right behind the house.
But I'm a little bit at a loss because it is so aggressive in the buffer. I don't have anything else better to say, Frank.
Okay. Andy?
Yeah, not a lot to add. I mean, I would not. I guess I'm not in favor of significant building in the buffer. I guess there's a small structure there, but expanding beyond that is not. I guess I don't support that.
Okay. Brendan?
Yeah, again, nothing else
What's
to
the
add.
size of a house?
I'm sorry, Brendan's turn.
I know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, again, I agree with Andy and Jen. I have nothing additional to add. It's just, yeah, that's all.
Do you think I can let Doug go next, Penny, or do you want to jump in?
I just know, I didn't mean to
I
jump
guess.
in.
Go ahead. It's your turn, Penny.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'm just flabbergasted because I'm looking at it. It's 28 by 36. That's not an accessory dwelling in my estimation. That's a house. Oh no, I don't like this at all. I don't, if you absolutely feel you have to have this accessory dwelling, put it right behind your existing house. And it would be in the 100-foot buffer and maybe just a corner in the 50, but I don't get that at all. I mean, that's a full-size house. I understand it's disturbed, it's probably all lawn, but it isn't a shed they're putting out there. No, that doesn't sit well at all. Thank you.
Doug? Thanks, Penny.
So the existing dwelling, Greg described as a Quonset hut, so I'm guessing there's no foundation with that?
Correct. There's no foundation under either of those structures.
So this would be a on slab
This would be
garage?
this would be a slab foundation. I call it an accessory building. It is not an accessory dwelling. It's an accessory building though.
So in 36 deep. So it's a 2-car garage, but little extra deep.
Correct. The property owners in the landscaping business right now, they back their truck in landscape trailer into the Quonset hut that's out there. That's why they want the extra deep garage so that they can continue to keep that under cover at the property. That location was chosen because that's where the end of the existing driveway is. I am hearing all the comments though loud and clear.
Okay. Doug, you want to add any more?
No, I guess just, I suppose there, well, so there's a slab, but there'd be a frost wall into that.
Yes, around the perimeter, there'd be a 4-foot frost wall. Yep.
Yeah, and not much room for like any, like maybe some mitigation in there. I just was, I understand now why it's as deep as you described, though. I was wondering why they, that's a pretty deep garage, but for that kind of equipment, I see why they need that. Okay, I'll that's it for the moment.
Okay. Do we have anybody in the audience for this one? I've called on all our members, right?
Yeah, I don't see anybody so far. You can raise your hands if you want to participate, people.
While we're waiting on that, Greg, so when we say Quonset hut, are we referring to like these hoop structures with canvas or
Yes.
tarp? So it's not even really like, it's not a corrugated metal Quonset hut or anything. These are just those little kind of
Tarp.
backyard structures people might put up to do
They
something on
are.
their temporary.
They are. I don't know when these were installed. I think they were there when my client purchased the property a couple of years ago. It looks like they've been there for quite some time. I don't know the exact age, but yeah.
Okay, but they're not really they're not truly any kind of real structure. They're more of a temporary thing. If someone was working on their boat or something temporary. I'm not even sure they require a building permit. I can't remember what the ruling was on that, but so they could have just been popped up for someone doing some kind of projects. I guess I'm just looking at the property and looking at this and wondering if there isn't the alternative for these folks getting to the other side.
Looks like it might fit on the south side of the house.
If there's an alternative to not going into that, obviously that's where the commission would rather see them go. I'm thinking Rosa Lane was Seward, if I'm not mistaken. That's an area that was pretty wet, and the town was able to get sewer in there, so you don't have to worry about a septic system or something.
That's correct. This is on sewer. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think just a little bit of history there. So Rosa Lane, Woodland Road, a number of those projects were being built right around the time that some of the Wetlands Protection Act came into being. If you drive over there, you'll see a couple of roads that just don't have any houses on them because it was an extremely wet area, and the folks that were developing it had forged ahead with a couple of roads, and then they were never able to get building permits. So it is definitely a wetter area, and we've had some issues with a couple of other locations where some development was done adjacent to another property and with the wetlands, and that got disturbed, and it created some other complications for butters and stuff as well. So I think that there's some alternatives to consider. I understand, if they've already got some infrastructure there, they want to just keep running with it, but we do have a bylaw and we do try to work with folks, but this one seems a little more than we would want to entertain.
Understood.
Yes, Penny.
Yeah, like I said, I understand if the driveway ends there, but swing it back behind the house.
Well,
You know, then
let
you're
them,
out of the 50
I
foot.
think they've got the message, and they can see
Right.
where the 50 is, and I think, they can know that the commission will look at some mitigating circumstances, and obviously having some area disturbed, but maybe as part of this project, they could think about, if they have to go into the 100, maybe they could think about a little bit of mitigation or something, at least that that structure that crosses over the property line is almost up against the wetlands. So,
Yeah,
all right,
Okay.
I would take a motion.
to continue, when will we continue it to?
Greg, is that what, do you want to continue this and come back with a different plan?
Yes, I'd like to continue this to your next meeting if I could, and we can come in with a
The
revised.
24th, Amy?
Actually, no, first.
May 1st.
May 1st, okay, 5/1. I'll make a motion to continue 31 Roses Lane to May 1st.
A second.
Second from Jen.
Thanks, Jen. All in favor, Doug,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Brendan,
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Thank you. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
48 Jericho Road. Right. What's the next one? On April 3rd, 2023, 6 p.m., the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40, the Massachusetts General Laws, and Section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of TPG Scituate Harbor Marina LLC for work related to a sewer connection at location 48 Jericho Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the virtual meeting is available, posted on the town website. And who do we? That's just me.
Greg Morse.
Hey, Greg. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Yeah, again, for the record, Gregory Morse, registered engineer representing the property owner, TPG Scituate Harbor Marina LLC. Also, I see on the call tonight is Kyle Souza, the manager for this facility. As was just read into the record, this is a notice of intent for improvements at the property being at 48 Jericho Road. This is immediately next door to the old Pier 44 building, between the Pier 44 building and the town's Jericho Road boat ramp.
Oh,
Formerly known as Daubers Marina. So,
there we go.
Yep. This project essentially involves rehabilitation of the property. The property itself, the landward-based portion of the site, is entirely asphalt area. It's one giant parking lot. What we're proposing to do are a couple of things. There are 2 storage containers that were located over the lot line onto the town property. We're looking to relocate one of those onto the subject property we've highlighted in gray. Secondly, we're looking to formalize a lavatory trailer at the site. This site has historically had a lavatory trailer at the site that, has provided bathroom services for people that use the dock facilities. That then would get pumped out similar to a porta potty. What we're looking to do is to install an actual sewer connection. There is sewer in Jericho Road, so that lavatory facility would be connected to the town sewer. After that trench is done through the parking lot area, we'd be looking at resurfacing the parking lot. Again, it's 100% paved right now. We would be resurfacing it, restriping the parking lot as well. And then lastly, as you go down toward the marina, the dockside portion of the project, we're looking at adding a boat pump out station out on the docks. The boat pump out station would be, so if you had a holding tank for gray water on your boat, you could pull up next to the dock. That pump out facility would pump through a hose along the docks up to the land where it would enter into the town's sewer system. The town has one of these already over at the Cole Parkway Marina, and The commission just approved a second one that's to be installed at the Jericho Road boat ramp. It encourages boaters to properly dispose of their waste off of their boats. The DEP did have a couple of comments when we submitted this, primarily due to the fact that as a commercial site, they wanted to verify compliance with the stormwater standards. This site is not subject to the Town of Scituate stormwater bylaw. It's not proposing to add any impervious surfaces again. But under the Wetlands Protection Act, we ran through standards 1 through 10. The project is given exemptions as a redevelopment and therefore only needs to comply to the extent practicable. What that translated to is we provided to the DEP an operation and maintenance program for the site for trash and rubbish removal, as well as sanitary waste removal from the site, how to keep a clean site. But otherwise, there are no BMPs here or BMPs to be improved upon at this site. DEP has issued a file number at this point. The client's anxious to get this underway. Turn it over to you.
Great, thank you, Greg. Andy?
Seems fairly straightforward, no questions. I mean, I see it's mostly upgrading. I like the better processing of waste on land and sea. So I think I'm okay.
Okay. Brendan? We're waiting for Brendan. How about you, Penny?
I'm happy.
Here we go. Jen?
If Penny's happy, I'm happy.
Oh, Brendan?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I guess I'm okay.
Great. Doug?
No, I don't. Well, I was trying to bring up the plan on my computer. I'm struggling with that, but there. So, Greg, there's like a little pump down at the end of the. So I can't
Out on the
quite
dock?
read. Yeah, out on the dock. There's a little pump there,
Yeah. Yep.
and as well as the one for the lavatory.
Correct.
You know, and that this isn't really. I mean, I don't have a problem with the project. One question I was wondering is because that's that new. They just installed a new sewer line. What, like a year ago? Did they leave a stub out for you, or do you have to go back into the road?
We have to go back into the road for this one. The new sewer line was further out on the lighthouse.
Oh.
It didn't come down this far.
Didn't come that far. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Amy, did I ask you if you were
No.
good with this? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've yet to weigh in, Frank.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I also like the project. I mean, by and large, couple of things. One, with respect to the trailers, so the project proposes to install these 2 trailered units, the porta potty trailer units, and so I don't know, I think that we can condition that the structures need to meet state building code for coastal resource areas, but I was going over them with Bob Vogel in the building office, and just not sure exactly where we're gonna end up as far as the structures go. I mean, because on trailers, maybe they wouldn't necessarily have to be elevated, but on the other hand, I'm not so sure that Scituate zoning allows for trailers anymore. So there may need to be a waiver with respect to the trailers, but that could be Board of Health. But so it's not necessarily pertinent to the wetland rules. But I think if any structure should meet coastal requirements for FEMA flood code, flood zones. It is a limb law, 2 to 3 foot waves, AE 15 in that area. As far as the stormwater goes, I concur with the redevelopment and the review. I took a look at that and had conversation with the state myself, just because you don't always see it come in as a redevelopment with no backup calculations. But I think that what he submitted appears to meet the need for no increase in impervious or no significant decrease. I mean, it would be good if we could look for some kind of an improvement. Maybe in Jericho Road, there could be an improvement, but I'm not sure where we're gonna see, where we're gonna get an improvement here. The water is either going into the harbor or it's going into Jericho. So with that, DEP did issue a file number. I think we probably can close with conditions.
Okay. Thanks. Anybody else want to comment on those items, or we have anybody in the audience? So it is too bad. I mean, this site is just all pavement. Greg, am I correct? There's no,
Yes, it's entirely pavement.
It's always been that way.
and I'm assuming whatever you got, they work out with the trailers. You guys are gonna have to sort that out. Worst case scenario, it'll be back to us or something.
Yeah, I mean, the trailer for the lavatory, it's a luxury porta potty, essentially. You've seen them
Right.
at an event, I'm sure, at some point. It's not installed on a foundation or anything like that. So we'll work that out with Board of Health or Building Department as necessary. Absolutely.
Okay. And they're not doing any paving or reconfiguring or other grading or anything. It's just a trench
No,
and repaving it.
resurfacing the whole area. We're not changing the grade of the parking lot, but we are going to repave the entire parking lot.
Oh, I didn't see that on this.
Restripe the parking lot.
Is there any drainage in this whole parking lot?
No, there's no drainage in the parking lot.
Amy, and DEP didn't have any other comment on any of that?
Nope.
I mean, is there an opportunity to do anything better with this than just shed that water to the harbor?
So right now, I think about half of it probably drains toward the harbor. Half of it drains to Jericho Road, which the catch basins there drain into the harbor as well.
Right.
There's this property, how it's been, used historically, encroaches onto the town's property on one side, and so they're correcting that encroachment. It's an extremely tight site for parking spaces as it is. I don't know that you could really lose any of those spaces. We're losing two essentially for the bathroom facilities.
I mean, at a minimum, Greg, if they're gonna repave this whole parking lot, though, I would think that they could do something with some grading and some catch basins and at least do some separation or something. I mean, anything that's on this parking lot is either headed into the harbor or it's gone onto Jericho Road, which essentially winds up back in the harbor.
Correct.
I mean, I get it that this is how it's been, but on the other hand, on any of these sites, we're trying to look to see if there can't be some improvement. I mean, this is a boat yard where people enjoy the harbor. All these boaters want to enjoy this harbor, and yet there's nothing here to. I mean, I guess they're doing a pump out station, which is great, right now, some of this stuff happens with a boat and it's not ideal. So this is certainly better. I think it's a better solution in terms of being able to help out their customers and provide a service. I'm assuming they charge for it.
I don't know the answer to that, but
Well,
I would
it's part of
assume
it.
so.
People pay a fee to have their boat there, so
Yep.
so they pay for that. I mean, I'm not sure I want to condition repaving this without seeing some thought towards like some regrading and
So I mean, the town historically doesn't allow new connections into a drainage system in the street for a site.
mhm.
There's no drainage next door at the Jericho Road boat ramp. It drains similar fashion to
Right. No, that's
Jericho
true.
Road for the
Yeah,
boat to the
yep.
harbor.
Yep.
I could put a catch basin on the site. Not gonna say I couldn't. I could put a catch basin in and we could try to infiltrate some water, but it certainly is gonna overtop during, higher storm events. This is underwater during heavier storm events.
Right.
We're not in an aquifer zone. We're not trying to recharge a well or anything like that at this location. And this is essentially a seasonal facility. While it's a parking lot, it's typically only used, June, July, August, a little bit in May and September. So there isn't heavy de-icing, there isn't heavy sands on here. There typically isn't heavy truck traffic on this. It's it's seasonal.
Yep.
Use. DEP's standard for providing those BMPs is when you increase the impervious surface, which we aren't. I understand your point, Frank. I really do. I just kind of limited what we can do here. I can do
Sure.
something. I just don't know that it's going to give us a lot of bang for the buck.
One of the things that I was taking a look at with Sean this afternoon was maybe something in Jericho Road.
Yeah, I mean, if there was a catch basin or two in Jericho Road that needed hoods or something like that, I'm sure we could, look at doing something like that. But
Talking about, yeah.
Well, I think if that's helpful, at least the runoff from Jericho would get some help. I guess I was thinking about, I've seen it in Norwell and I saw it on 3A where they did sort of those first flush sort of things, like there's a rainstorm and the water is trying to get into these basins. There's a little bit of separation and then the water could be recharged. To your point, it's going to overtop pretty quick because the soils aren't great and it's a big area. But sometimes just that initial, when you get a rainstorm, the whatever oils or contaminants are on top of the asphalt, they go into that basin and are trapped so they could be cleaned out, and then the thing just fills up and stops functioning. Well, I'm all for the hoods that are there. I'd kind of like to see something grabbing some of the water that heads into the harbor and at least give it a even minimal treatment. But if it's not going to work, it's a waste of time and money. Anybody else?
Well, I think that's a good thought, Frank. I think the purpose would be for removals of solids and just to clean a little bit. I can't imagine where because you can't run a pipe anywhere. There's nowhere for that to go. I doubt if you're going to get much activity out of a leaching basin or something like that. I don't know. It's kind of a rock and a hard place. I think if Greg wants to look at that, that's fine. I can't imagine, I can't, but, you know, Greg knows more about this stuff.
Can you
than
think
I
of
do.
anything that would help at all, Greg, on the harbor side? I mean, if contributing to something with the town, that gets tricky too. I mean, I'd love to see it.
Yeah,
I don't want to put your applicant through.
sure. So I mean, along the harbor side, we have, a seawall at the edge of pavement.
Right.
Then immediately behind Pier 44, basically at the edge of the pavement is where it starts the riprap, which
Yep.
goes down right to the edge of the water. So I don't have any area to like grade in anything at those locations. And where the dock starts is about the only place that isn't parking
Right.
on the property right now. So I mean, if it was a leaching catch basin, could certainly be installed in the middle of the parking lot. But
But that's just going to
not
make
gonna-
it's going to make a big puddle.
yeah, it's if you're creating a low point and it's not going to drain and it doesn't have an overflow relief, it's not going to provide you much benefit. I think
There's no topography. Well, there is some topography, so I'm trying to figure out which way this thing drains or pitches. But
it's real close to flat, right in the middle of the parking lot is at elevation 8. The sewer manhole out in the road we're connecting to is at elevation 8.1 for reference. So it's very close to flat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's one contour on the whole site.
Yeah. Along the edge of the pavement, along the harbor, I could say, we could put in a pea stone diaphragm. We could cut out 2 feet of asphalt and put in a 2 foot by 2 foot trench, which will maybe provide a little bit of a first flush of any sediment coming off the parking lot, but it's going to go right into that riprap anyways. Right beyond it, it's so porous on the harbor side.
Right.
I don't see that adding benefit if I was to do anything at that location. But I do see a catch basin right at the entrance of the site on Jericho Road. I don't know if that has a catch basin hood in it or not, but we could certainly install a hood in that catch basin or provide one to the town for its use wherever it feels discretion.
Okay.
Do
you know, or maybe the manager that knows, across the street on Jericho Road, there's like a marsh area. And I think there's like a whole bunch of old docks and stuff on the other side. I don't know if they got cleaned up or if they're still there.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if Kyle, if you have any knowledge of that. On the opposite side of Jericho Road was kind of a grassed area that had a wire across it.
Yep.
With a sign.
Yes.
Yes. So that is not our land.
Right.
That is nothing was previously. It does have the Barker Tavern sign across the street, as well as what seems to be some older docks, which I believe is from the previous owner.
From the previous owner of this marina.
Correct.
Yeah. Would you be opposed to cleaning that up?
I'd have to speak to our ownership in regards to that. As we know, disposal fees are quite significant. Definitely not against it. We'd be happy to work with the town in regards to anything, as we would love to help cleaning up the waterfront. Not against it, but it would have to be discussed above me.
Okay. Why don't you, I mean, I think you see my point. We're trying to work with you as well, and it's I guess it's a good improvement, and the sewer pump off is a good thing, but typically we look for some sort of mitigation, and especially with all this paving, and it's if there were a better solution to taking care of some of the runoff from this parking lot, would look for it. To Greg's point, the big lot next door doesn't do much for us either, which is a shame. But
Yeah, it seems to run off right now as it goes into Jericho Road, and then there pipe that goes through the riprap right behind Pier 44 that then drains into the water.
Yep.
That goes through the space that's technically our land.
Right. I just think, it's my, again, you guys probably don't own that across the street, but somehow along the way that just got pushed over there either by a storm or whatever and never got taken care of. And if that were a little bit of cleanup, it would go a long way to.
As far as I'm aware, it's the town land. I did speak with
Town-owned property.
for the Pier 44.
Yep.
Commission, and they had mentioned that was town property.
I think you're absolutely right. It's town property, but I do think that they were docks or something that maybe during one of the storms were in the parking lot and they got pushed across the road and then just sort of stuffed in there and never cleaned up. Amy, what do we want to do? How soon are you trying to get this sewer connection done?
As soon as possible. We open May 15th for the season, and we're hoping to have the parking lot at least usable for our guests.
Sure. Can we put something in this thing as to some form of mitigation, Amy? Can we either put, I don't know.
Well, you know what? If we close it, we can think about it and then come up with a condition.
All right, Kyle, why don't you talk with your folks there, and I think we can get something into the orders as to how we deal with either runoff from the parking lot or the cleanup or something. So if you could float that, see what it would involve. Maybe we could come together on that one. All right.
Most definitely. Yeah. Happy to figure something out. Definitely.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Anybody make a motion?
I make a motion to close.
That's Penny, a second.
Second from Jen.
Great. All in favor, Doug?
Yes.
And Andy?
Yes.
And Brendan?
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Greg and Kyle.
Thank you.
Where are we?
Turner.
157 Turner Road on April 3rd, during our 2023, during the 6 p.m. meeting, the Scituate Conservation Commission will act on the request of Daniel McAdam for a determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Scituate Wetlands bylaws for activity related to building a platform for a generator for a single-family dwelling at 157 Turner Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the meeting is available on the agenda posted on the website.
Okay, so we're looking for Daniel McAdam. If he's on the line, you can raise your hand, Daniel.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a little funky sketch, but it looks to me like he just wants to build a platform on a couple of piers.
Put his generator and air conditioning unit.
That's what it says.
Okay. Amy, you want to say any more to that, or can we just jump to members?
Yeah, we would typically, it would meet the requirements of a negative finding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brendan?
I'm good.
Andy,
I am good.
Jen,
All good.
Ms. Pipes.
It sounds super.
Here we go. Doug,
And no, it's fine. Does something minimal like that, does that have to comply to FEMA as far as elevations go or anything like that?
I think there's some code stuff, the electrical, gas, building that they have to comply with, Doug. You know, the
The-
generator has to be so many feet off the building. It's got to be so high in the air. Everybody weighs in on these
built-
generators.
Building will cover that part.
Yeah, they got to get a permit for that. And
Okay, yeah, I'm good.
okay, anybody else?
So I'll make a
Make a
motion
motion? Yep,
for -3.
it's Penny, second.
A second from Jen.
All in favor, Doug,
Yes,
Andy,
Yes.
Brendan,
Yes.
Frank, yes. Great, thank you.
Okay,
Okay. Speaking of cooking with gas, we're moving here. Although most of them get
yeah, here we go.
All right,
Here we go.
yeah, who wants to go next?
What's this amended orders from 8 new? Amy?
Yeah, so we're on to administrative items. So first one up is a request for amendment to orders 8 Newell. Somebody from Grady here, maybe.
Thought I saw Jeff DeLise's was in the,
You know, you received a packet from Jeff, was his packet for the superseding orders. So it's pretty straightforward. Request to amend, as we know, it's a two-step process. So this is the administrative request part of it, but Jeff probably wants to chime in, and here he has his hand up, so I'll put him on.
Thank you for unmuting me. Jeff DeLisi, I represent the property owner at 8 Newell. This is more of an administrative item from the standpoint that it's kind of cleanup. If you recall, 2001, an order of conditions was issued, which allowed in part this project and denied in part other aspects of this project. Most notably the aspect which involved a pool and a related patio and wall. And so that matter was appealed to, or the denial aspect of the order was appealed to Mass DEP. And we went through a fairly lengthy process with Mass DEP, and which provoked a MEPA review. The board was a party to all of this. And at the end of the day, the applicant chose to amend his plan during that process by eliminating the pool and the patio and the wall, and essentially replacing it with decking. That was proposed. The town was a party to that. Mass DEP found that to be perfectly acceptable. We think that it's actually required of us because the order of conditions said you can't do it. Right now, there is a pool there that has been there since the 80s. And so this removal of this pool and replacing that area essentially with a deck is, I think, an improvement, especially when considered with all of the mitigation plantings and everything else, which was previously allowed. So it's really just cleanup. We're looking for the board to say, yes, you can go ahead and swap out the approved superseding order of conditions plan. And once the board says that that's essentially a minor modification, we can go ahead and I think that would clear Amy up to sign the building permit application to move forward with our project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.
Yep.
Amy?
Okay, so I think you guys can just, I mean, you know what to do, so you just vote and then we will advertise it for the next meeting. And it's just the plan, you know, it should be real straightforward. The plan is, it should be attached to the local orders though and recorded. So, but you should, like the decision is this should this be a new notice of intent? I don't think so. I think it's pretty clear it can be an amendment to the local order with, you're gonna have two orders because you have the DEP order and the local order on this one.
So we're not voting to amend this tonight. This is just for the commission to.
Two-step process, yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
I was unaware of that. I thought it could be amended as a minor modification, but
Could we do that as a minor modification?
No, in the policy, it's a two-step, because then you want to advertise it and have the public hearing.
Do we
So-
need to with a minor modification?
We do with,
To amend a set of orders, we have to. Are we amending these or a minor modification?
amending these. You're amending these.
yeah, and that's been my issue all along with this is we've been kind of discussing this back and forth. There is a policy that Mass DEP, Amy shared with me that says if you're seeking to do something different than a approved order of conditions, you need to get an amendment to the order of conditions. There's language in your order of conditions that that allows you to accept any changes to the plan as minor modifications, which is something, for instance, that I believe that you're considering in the next hearing on Collier Road, for instance. And so if the commission were to consider this within the scope of the original order of conditions, which it is, because we're now showing a plan which is doing what you told us we can't do, then we would think that you would be perfectly within your rights to just approve this as a minor modification and call it a day. But that's my opinion. And I, you know, it's fairly routine, is it not, for the commission to consider and approve minor modifications without requiring an amendment to an order?
We have I guess, the option to do one or the other, and I think it depends on the significance of the modification. So with minor modifications, it was always my understanding that we could just vote that without an amendment required advertising and being more
Aggressive.
Yep. And I think maybe the way you said that, Jeff, might be a little, you're not doing what was originally proposed. You're doing what was kind of required of the commission. You're not going to be able to do the poll. So all you're looking to do is clean up that area, if I'm not mistaken.
And put the
Right,
deck.
we have to, your order said no pool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And during the hearing, there was a discussion about whether the pool pre-existed the adoption of the wetland regulations in the state. And we were able to kind of determine that, you know, we bought this property just a couple of years ago, but the pool had existed since the 80s. So there was kind of a statement or two made during the hearing process that indicated that, oh, well, perhaps, you know, that pool is not properly there. And if it's not properly there, then it needs to be essentially removed. So the notice of intent hearing was kind of taking a tone of an enforcement proceeding. And so what What this plan is showing is the removal of an existing pool and the replacement with that of a deck. That's essentially what this plan is, which was your order said no pool. So we're removing the pool that already exists. Your order also indicated, you can't put a pool there.
Right.
Which was what we had proposed to do, which was to replace an existing failing pool with a new pool. So your order said you can't do it. You can't do that. But the way it was fashioned was no pool. Not you can't do it, but no pool. So this plan is doing what your order says, which is no pool. And instead there would be a deck. That's all it is. So.
And the deck would go in the location of the remove of the pool that's being removed.
Yeah, it approximate of in the location, the existing pool, if it didn't exist, would be covered by a deck. And so yes, the answer is yes.
Do we have a plan for that, Jeff?
Yeah, I can share my screen if
I don't know.
It would be an extension of the deck that's already there, I think.
In a sense, because
There is a deck there.
that's correct. So
But
see.
the thing is that it's
And
not.
Amy, if you would like me to share my screen, I can do that. You just need to give me privileges. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah, we can't, but I think Jen might have it that she can share, but so there's more than just that. There's the path that was added.
Yeah, but that was part of the original order, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't on the plan of the original order. It was in the order, but it was just verbiage in the order. It wasn't actually in the plan.
But that was discussed. That was discussed as length.
I thought that was mitigation for.
Yeah, completely.
It wasn't on the site plan, so this is a new site plan. And the amendment is just accepting the new site plan so that it matches the site plan of the superseding order.
That's correct. That's
right. Okay.
correct.
So all this seems like it's been vetted, I guess is my point.
Proposed deck footing.
And you see right where you're reading there, Penny,
Yes.
behind it, you can kind of see an outline of an existing pool.
Yep. Yes. Yes. In the middle there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's just going over where it was and extending a little bit where there is that existing deck and then that walkway. Yeah.
That's right. So if you guys were to consider that to be within the scope of the original order and minor in nature, then I think that you could just say, go ahead and we'll accept this as a as the order of conditions plan, and that would be that.
Amend, and then we'll advertise it and have it.
Well, what I'm trying to get away from is the time and the costs involved with advertising, the time and the potential of a double jeopardy situation where my clients are potentially appealed all over again on an amended order of conditions when all we're doing is something that's within the scope of the order. So I'm asking the commission first to determine whether the commission believes these are minor in nature and within the scope of the original order. And if the answer to that is yes, then I believe that we can just go ahead and not have to do that whole amendment process.
Was the I don't mean to jump ahead of everyone else. I'm just trying to. It's been dragged on for quite a while. The coastal dune enhancement area, is that something that your client's proposing to do or has been done or?
So that was part of the initial project and that is still part of the project.
Yeah.
So we're not, we're doing.
And we
all
didn't
of that
deny it.
mitigation.
We didn't deny any of that. We that wasn't part of our, the part of the denial on this was the pool.
It was specifically the pool, from what I read.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
No
correct.
pool.
Yep.
Yeah. And you know, you gotta, you know, I'm sure most of the commission was probably out at the property, but you know, it's an entire, like, it's a completely damaged, you know, resource area, from the standpoint of, I guess, the dune and it's totally scoured, and over the years, it really was kind of disrespected.
Yep.
So the winds are coming in here, and they're going to be spending a considerable amount of money and effort to build that back up, which obviously is to their benefit, but to the benefit of the interests of the commission as well.
Right. Okay. Penny?
And there's that condition, there's the, I want to say, I'll look for the condition, but I think it's condition number 13, which basically says, if you have a change, submit it to the commission. The commission will decide whether it's significant enough. So that's what I'm asking you to do. Thank you.
Okay. Penny?
Yeah, no, I have no problem with making this a minor modification. They're putting in a deck up on footings. It's gonna match the other deck that's already there. The pool will be out of there. And before they'll get a CSC, they would have to do the enhancement and all that stuff, so. You
Right.
know, and the walkway, that was part of the whole thing, to reopen that up again.
Yep.
Yeah, so, I don't have a problem at all with this. I would love to put it to bed.
Okay. Doug?
I am agreeing with Penny completely. I think I remember discussions about that in the pool, and the possibility of elevating the pool was in there and things like that. So a deck is certainly much less of a structure than the pool. The only thing I don't remember, Jeff, is the pier.
It was a
Was
separate
that-
order of conditions,
Yeah,
Doug.
it was.
Oh, it was, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So this plan shows the pier, whereas the EEC plan, I think Bob Crawford did not show the pier because he did not engineer it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what happened was that
Different projects.
yeah, this project was filed right before the state of emergency, and then it got stuck in the muck, and it didn't get approved for a year and a half, and for various reasons. And during that period of time, I think that's when the decision was made to, hey, let's do a dock as well. So they just filed a new notice of intent for that.
Okay. Right, thanks. But no, I'm fine with it.
Jen?
I guess I understand why people feel it's appropriately a minor or moderate change, or whatever the verbiage is. But I guess I'm just concerned that I don't, it seems like there's two different schools of thought into the administrative side to this, and which way is okay. And I just want to make sure that we're setting the right precedent. I understand not wanting to spend the time and cost on advertising, but if that's the proper administrative way to handle this, I'm not sure, but I would want to make sure we're doing that. That's all I've got.
Yeah, it's really that double jeopardy question that's really the big issue for me. Though there were not really any neighbors that spoke in opposition to this. Well,
but have we given them the opportunity to speak in opposition to this large deck?
Yeah, they had a year and a half.
Well, but they haven't seen that you're proposing a deck.
Well, but
They
it was
won't even see it yet.
advertised, and if it's minor in nature, then, I don't,
I actually don't know that a 40-foot deck is minor, but I understand why we're saying it is.
It is.
But I don't want to circle the
Okay.
circle the drain on this continually.
Andy, thanks, Jim.
Yeah, I think based on all the discussion we've had throughout the process, this feels okay with me as going as a minor modification.
Brendan,
Sorry, audio problems and having, it seems. On the fence, I guess. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
there's
trying to get what Jen was saying, and I want to make sure we're doing the right thing, like administratively, but so I'm on the fence, I guess. I stay there.
sure.
Yeah, you can sit on the fence. I'll push you over.
It's too bad we didn't have a Hammerock contingent this evening.
Ugh.
No, I mean, I think we've had a whole hearing process. This is not dragged. It's gone through its process. Lots of hearings, lots of discussion, lots of debate. This doesn't seem to be any issues about the dune.
That's gonna be good.
I mean, enhancement, which is a real plus, which was offered by the applicant back when they wanted to do a pool, and they still have that in their orders, and they're going through with it. The other part was the trail for access from the
Street.
street that's going in, and so much of this area is disturbed. I mean, this thing, it's not like this is a big secret. This thing's been I just don't see us pushing anything under the radar with this, I guess is my point. It's I guess there's some process, and maybe there's a little bit of disagreement with that, but this has been bantered back and forth for so long. It's quite dead, and it's starting to smell. And I just as soon be done with it.
I would agree. I'd love to be done with it. I mean, I'm losing my babysitter in 10 minutes, so I'm I'm going to be done either way. But I agree. The plan looks great. I love this, but I just don't know that it's minor. It feels administrative as a reason to hold it up, but I think so many times we want to do something a little different, and we can't because of administrative reasons, or we've set a precedent in a different way, and that's all I'll say about it.
Okay.
If it was on the ground, Jen, I'd agree with you, but it isn't going to sit on the ground. As long as it's elevated with the rest of the decking out there, so everything can move, and I think it's a good option for them to do this. Then they could maybe put a hot tub or something on the deck. Whatever they want to do, but it's off the ground.
So can we just vote on?
Yep, I think we can do
on
that.
this?
So, because we have a couple other things I want to catch Jen on before we lose
Yeah.
her. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion for a minor modification of a deck being put in on 8 Newell Street.
Yeah, that's a motion.
Instead of, I don't know.
That's a motion from Penny. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Doug. All in favor? Jen?
No.
Okay. Andy?
Yes.
Brendan?
No.
And Frank, yes. So
It went. You got 4 yeses.
okay. All right. Well, We don't have to be unanimous all the time.
Well, not to split hairs, but just because Doug seconded it doesn't mean he voted
Well,
in
that's
Well,
favor
true.
or
let's
against
for a
it.
vote.
Okay, Doug?
Yes.
Okay,
Um,
thanks, Jen.
You're really on the spotlight.
yeah, I know. I feel like, who's that? No, I won't get into politics.
All right, let's let's get on to a couple of
Not
other.
tonight.
Can I, Jeff is there with his hand up, but I just want to, because I didn't think of it until we talked about, but I do want to make sure that, that it says deck on footings, you do mean like pier sonotubes or piles or something like that, correct?
Thanks.
He's muted.
Jeff's been muted.
He's muted. You can just nod your head.
There.
What?
I muted myself for a second and then I locked myself out. On footings, correct.
Well, yeah, footings, but
He meets peers.
Helical piers, I think is what the plan is. I think
Yeah,
it's gonna be
okay,
done by
yeah.
Amy Quessel's husband or so.
It's a minor distinction sometimes, but with a difference.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I think it's it's an amazing difference. It's something that you want to encourage out there.
Okay.
Frank, what else do you want to do before Jen has to leave? That's
So,
things could
couple
wait.
of quick things.
We're not done with 8 Newell Street yet either. Because the amendment might give him some kind of loose ability to put in a deck, but it doesn't approve the rest of the project, and there are orders for the rest of the project with a different plan. So now he's got 2 different plans for the project. So somehow that's going to have to be cleaned up, but we can leave
Well,
that.
isn't the whole concept to just amend the order by accepting this plan such that this plan would then supersede the initial plan?
Through the public hearing, so we can't amend it through a minor modification vote. So we're not amending the order that way. We just gave approval under a minor modification to add some footings.
And to remove the pool that you required to be removed.
Right.
That's already in the orders. So
That is in the orders, exactly.
Yes,
Like
I'm
that's-
saying.
Yeah.
So just, you have made a minor modification to the orders asking for a deck.
But I thought we already voted and approved part of this project.
Yeah, we did.
But see, you've got now 2 different plans with 2 different orders. That's the problem. You've got one set of orders with one plan, and another set of orders with a different plan.
Imposed by that we got from the state.
That the engineer for the applicant, based on discussions and meetings that they had with the state and their thorough review that they did.
Which this board was a party to.
We weren't a party to it. We were CC'd. We weren't a party to it, but
You're a party to the action. It's required under the law. You are a party.
Council Jeff. But
Right. You know what, I think this to me is getting, we're down to splitting hairs here, and
Well-
I understand there's some frustration, but
there's 2 different plans and 2 different.
so we already have a plan that we approved, right?
They don't match. So that was the amendment, but he does now have approval to do his deck.
So,
And the order of conditions that is be recorded at the registry will be the superseding order. So, that,
Yeah,
say again?
okay, keep going.
I'm just pointing that out. Like, that's the order of conditions. That is the matter of public record that the state has approved.
Right, but you still also have to satisfy the Scituate bylaw with another recorded order.
No, I'm not sure about that.
I am. It says it in the superseding order. That's, here, we can take this offline, Jeff. It's fine. I don't think we should do this at the meeting.
Well, I need clear direction because my
Well, you
client
can
would like,
do the deck. You can do the deck. You have clear direction on that.
okay, and I can remove the pool, right?
And
Because-
remove the pool.
And we can do the path.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
And the
Alright.
restoration.
all right. Excellent. So that's what I need to know.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
All right. I had two quick ones on open space. One, I got a request from the Boy Scouts. I've been asking the Boy Scouts to do, if they would be interested in helping us with a few boardwalk pathway kind of things. And they said they'd be happy to do that, which we still have to work out the details, and maybe we're going to need a minor activities permit or something like that. But it's just a couple areas that could use some help, and they're happy to do that. They'd like to have a an overnight camp out, 1 or 2 nights together. And we got to work out a location for that, but we have allowed them to do that in the past, and they're anxious to do something like that. It'd be sort of a shakedown for them as they plan a trip elsewhere. So I just want to see if there's anybody that has any concerns, or if we can give them permission to go ahead and do that.
I think it sounds like a great idea.
Go camping, boys. Go camping.
Well, could be boys and girls. They accept
Yes,
girls
it could be the Girl Scouts next. Let's hope. You're right, Jen. Anybody else? Speak up.
No, sounds good to me. No concerns.
And I'm going to take anybody that doesn't say anything as a positive. I don't think we need to vote it. I just want to be sure.
Yeah.
There's no concerns, and I think it's a nice thing to do.
Oh, I think it's wonderful. Wonderful.
So the second part of this is I've had some discussion with Select Person Canfield with regard to Border Street, and I'm going to try to meet with some of the folks that were involved in acquiring Border Street and talking about potential parking and whatnot, and we'll get something a little more formalized and then bring that back to the commission. But part of that discussion when I was talking with her was about the different things, paths that we want the commission to move forward on. That, you know, we have all these administrative things, but we've also would like to get going on several other items. You know, we've got money from mitigation money from Toll Brothers to work on Scituate Brook. We've got we had a forestry program done for the woods, and now we could move that to another level. We have all these different things that I'd like to see happen. And there's also still the trails that are being maintained and other programs that go on through blocks or different groups. We have our fields farming. So one of the things that was brought up was the possibility of creating a subcommittee to the commission for open space. And I told her that I would bring that to the members and start to, you know, have a little bit of dialogue and see what folks thought about this. And I just would like to get a little bit of direction from all of you, so we can start to think about how we would look at that. Right now, we sort of have an informal group of folks that are doing trail maintenance and other items on the trail. And her question was, would we want to have more of an open space, like a subcommittee? And her direction to me was that the commission would be the people that would appoint that. It wouldn't be appointed by the board. I don't know exactly if that's been done that way before, but that was the discussion that she and I had one day. So maybe you could just throw it out to you folks and get a little bit of thought so that I can kind of think about what direction we want to go. Anybody wanna,
I can offer my 2 cents on it. I think I have 2 minds about it. One is, we can use all the help we can get in terms of getting projects going and keeping them moving. So it's positive in that regard. But I think it is a challenge in terms of having the right people involved to kind of make decisions and keep things going without going too far.
anybody, I guess one of the things I had also is how do we manage that? I mean, we have a lot going on as a commission administratively. So we want to think about that as well. Either Doug, Penny, anybody want to?
Penny,
Penny's got her hand up.
I got my hand up. I don't want to, I'll be very honest, I don't go for a subcommittee whatsoever, too many cooks in the kitchen. We can always reach out for volunteers once we decide how we want to go forward with some of these projects. I just know in the past, there's been some issues of too many opinions and nothing getting done. And I don't think a subcommittee is a good idea at all. We can always ask people to volunteer. Howard has his group of volunteers now. I just think you gotta be really careful with these subcommittees because they do get out of hand, some of them. And then there's bickering and this and that, and more of a headache. That's my personal view.
Okay. Andy, Brendan, Doug,
Well,
and Amy, I didn't ask.
so the question is kind of like, do we form a separate committee for trials? There is a trails committee. though.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
an
it's not
an
a
informal group.
committee.
It's an
Yeah.
informal trail, but it would be a formal
Yeah.
trails committee. And you're saying that trails committee would be either it could be a committee on its own that would then have to apply for approvals and things to the commission, which would be kind of weird. But or a subcommittee of the commission that would be specifically tasked with maintaining the trails and
I think it's more than trails, Doug. I think it's looking overall at our open space from a lot of different angles. You know, there's a group of folks that are wonderful. They're maintaining the trails, they're organized and they do fantastic job. And it's not just cleaning the trails. They've been putting up all the little trail markers, some of the signage,
CR codes,
like QR codes now. I
oh
got
yeah, that's
this.
it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Even I'm getting there. But we have that, and it's we call it a trails group as opposed to a committee because it's not a formal committee. But the question would be, do we want to have a more formal committee doing discussing, reviewing? Well, it would be all kinds of open space issues, which is something I was really hoping this select persons would see the need to maybe fund something. Because there's a lot of work, and I'm just concerned that administratively we have enough help to do that sort of thing too. I mean, you can have, we get a lot done with volunteers, that's for sure. But do we have the the bandwidth to, you know, it's
How did
not,
that
it's
go
not, it's
over,
not just,
Frank?
it's not just the trails. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jen.
How was that received? Because I think that's a great way to verbalize it is,
Well,
uh,
they all talk about it. I mean, it's something
Yeah.
that we, if we really want something, I think as a commission, we probably need to propose something to the town that we would get into an article that would actually mean something.
I mean, I'd be far more supportive of a subcommittee if there was that level of support. Otherwise, I don't think I could, just because the office is at its full capacity.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I
Andy?
I hear the concern loud and clear about adding cooks to the kitchen. Getting stuff done is challenging with as many folks as need to weigh in. At the same, I was talking before the meeting started about how much is, needs to be done at Appleton, and that's not even considering Border Street, and there's not capacity as it stands to even get it done. So I also see the need to add, work power. So I guess I theoretically I see the value on both sides. I guess the devil's in the details. I'd be curious exactly how it gets rolled out. Would not want to make more complication and more voices to bog things down, but would love to see more hands to get things done.
Right. Okay. Brendan? Or
I'm just going to go with Andy.
You can remain silent. Okay. Who didn't we hear from? Amy?
Geez, I think it's complicated. I would definitely concur with the more cooks in the kitchen isn't necessarily great, but it's maybe not a terrible idea either, as far as getting just a broader representation from other people in the town that have great interest in, the great land that we have, that we're responsible of managing. So, broadening that and opening it up to others, I think is also important too, but I'm not sure I would want to be on that committee personally. I know that those things are very lengthy, and I think you have to have pretty definitive agendas, because I think that they can go on for a long time and, not necessarily solve a lot of things, because there's so much to talk about. You really need to narrow in. I mean, just as far as like open conservation, open space projects, I mean, we have so many, we're finding a hard time on, which ones to pick and choose and which ones to prioritize. So I think that's something to, would a subcommittee help focus at, or would it not? I guess you have to put a lot of effort into that, and in the makeup of the committee, who it would involve, like liaisons from other committees, or you're talking about other volunteers, so it's complicated for sure.
Yes.
Well,
So-
it's complicated, and I think it's going to add an element of work to the office. I mean, all of a sudden, if you have another group of people with certain agendas, then they're going to be looking for support as well. And I'm just not sure that we have
So-
that. But I think, go ahead.
Well, I guess I'm just trying to fully understand. I mean, like, so one question, first off, do we feel that the commission is lax in its management of the existing projects we already have, like on open space and trails and what have you? Because I know I've done nothing.
Well,
And I
we'll have
don't-
to get the whip out.
I know, and I'm not going to have, time. So I mean, doing these meetings is about it for at least now. So I mean, that's why I'm asking you guys, like, do you feel like things are falling through the cracks? That we need more help? So if we need more help, because it would, I mean, I picture a subcommittee as responding to the tasks outlined by the commission. So we need you guys to take care of this space and this space and this space, and that it's not just kind of this open-ended, hey, what do you think about doing something in town? Go.
Well, I don't see it like that, Doug. I mean, I think I have an idea, maybe I haven't expressed it well enough for a while, but you know, we have a whole bunch of other projects to again, we have this kind of like dual role as a commission. We have all these regulatory pieces and the hearings and projects that need review and permitting, which consumes an awful lot of the time. And then we have the other aspects, which are maintaining our open space and maybe additional programs and things like that. And you're right, everybody's sort of stretched, but that includes our office. And I mean, I don't think we're neglectful. We're making progress. We've created all these access and parking, and tomorrow night I'll be at the selectmen's meeting. They'll hopefully sign the contract so we can finish up the accessible picnic areas. So I think we're making progress, but it all takes time. You know, things have to come through this office that Amy and Jen have to process and look at and work at, and they've already got a lot going on. So we're hardly sitting on our hands. But what's the best way do we think that we could do that? I did, you know, Jen made a good point. It's like if we're going to get money and some help, then maybe folks to your point, Doug, you know, if we don't have enough time to do all those things, I think I'd rather be on the subcommittee than not that you guys aren't great, but it sounds like it's more fun. But yeah, I think that's not a bad point. You know, it's like we could entertain some help, but we really need funding.
Right. Well, and we don't want to create something that just actually creates more work, especially for Amy and Jen at the office, you know,
right.
That because that can happen. It can backfire that you have.
Yeah.
Or other commission members, because now you're going to be overseeing another committee.
Yes, exactly. So that's what I'm just trying to figure out.
Frank,
where we sit.
Yes.
Who would get to choose who would be if we did this?
I think we would solicit volunteers, and then we'd have a list, and then the commission would decide like on a number and roles. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that would have to be decided by our commission. You know, what would the role be? What you know, what kind of direction we would ask them to work at, and then you know, we'd have to decide how large a group that is. You know, are we thinking it's going to be 3, 5, 7, whatever. And it would be a little bit informal, you know, sitting with those folks and saying, well, what do you think you should do? And then
oh, yeah. Okay.
Come up with a game plan. So this is just a little bit of a round table tonight, just to kind of get a sense of folks and bring up some thoughts. And I've already heard, to me, my way of thinking, I've already heard some good feedback. So I think that's enough for me for tonight. You guys can think about it some more, and we'll knock it around a little bit. Maybe Jen, Amy, and I can have a little discussion. If anybody else got any thoughts, fire away.
Okay, so let's move on to 67 Collier.
Yep. Amy, what's?
So actually, I put this on. This was a request that came to the office, and I listed it as a request for a minor modification. Although apparently that backfired in some ways, but anyways, I'm not sure really what it is. I distributed the information that came in. It was a request that came in from the engineer and the applicant about a project change that was made on a raised rebuild project that you had conditioned back in 21. And anyways, we had sent a notice of violation back in September of 22 when we got notice, shortly after we got notice that there had been a wall that had been built on what had been approved to be a slope, vegetated slope. And anyways, Jen, this might be a good picture to show, or a good time to show a photograph. It's that property 67. It's that kind of the last house before the open lot. The old Conway property. Anyways, we spent quite a lot of time. Do you have any photos, Jen, of the actual?
What it looks like? I do.
Did you any of the photos from Ross Engineering's submittal? Anyways, it shows the front of that, or actually there's the back side of the house, or the side of the house as it looks taken from the beach side. So it's of the back, which is of the side of the house as you would face the looking out onto the ocean, which is a deck, and then at least four I guess but four cases of rocks it's a rock wall that they built instead of the boulders. Yeah, Jen, no photographs of the house, or we can just, or maybe the approved site plan. And then
So
one.
So Amy, I think if I remember right, there you go.
There it is.
So when we looked at this project, I think Bob Gray
Yeah.
consulted with us.
Yep.
Right.
We did extensive review of this under the notice of intent process.
Right.
Many meetings. We had Sebastian, Bob Gray, actually Stan Humphreys was also involved for the peer reviewer or the applicant. But anyways, we concluded, what the resource areas were. We had, quite a lot of thought into this project, and had a good set of orders, is
Right.
what I thought. Anyways, and so this is just gives you a rough idea of the wall that was built rather than the slope.
Okay.
But anyways, so it's a vegetated slope. But anyway, so now March 23rd, we received a letter from the engineer asking you to consider the change of the wall. They had been meeting with the North River Commission after we had sent them the notice of violation letter. We actually received correspondence from the owner's attorney asking if they could please work with North River Commission first to see what their opinion would be, which they did meet with them at least on October 27th, 2022 and January 26th, 23. And they met with them a few times and went back and forth. And my kind of my summary of the minutes from their meetings is that they are waiting now to have you guys take a look at it and see if you want to approve this wall, or if you have an opinion otherwise. So we basically just resent out the information from Ross Engineering and from a memo from Stan Humphreys from March three on their opinion about this wall with some photographs. It looks like, you know, a little bit of winter storm damage did happen. And then also an as-built plan from them, dated October 2022, which also we could show just that the comparison of what was built. You can see this wall that was built in the front of the house. That's from the as-built, as versus the approved plan in the orders. And so basically, I mean, I put it as a minor modification, but clearly this is not a minor modification. I just put it here as an administrative item. It's definitely not a minor modification. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure if you would want to take this as a request for an amendment, and that would not be by accepting this plan. That would be a public hearing, as we just went through in the last case, but it would be, actually you would go through the steps to advertise it and to go through that way. But I'm not really sure that that's the best course either. What I had written down as my notes were to probably, we'll have you guys talk about it, but
There you go.
get an opinion from coastal geologist or peer review engineer, and then I would say probably go straight to enforcement with a restoration order of some sort. So I'm not so sure I would go, and I'm not so sure I would take it as an amendment either. I think not so sure I like a notice of intent, but I would think you would want to keep these matters separate. And I think I prefer the enforcement directly over a notice of intent just because it's not appealable. So that's what I have to say.
Amy, would there be a reason that we shouldn't just give an enforcement order that this wasn't allowed and put an enforcement order on this project?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that was my number one recommendation after all those words. That's what, yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's how I feel. I mean, it was pretty clear what we wanted, and these folks just went ahead and built something entirely different. Maybe I'm jumping the gun here with other members, but I don't really see. Certainly, it's not in my opinion, it's not a minor modification, and I think it's a violation. We had a consultant, we talked with them, we talked at length about what should happen on that bank, and they fortified it. And I don't see how we can call it anything different. Sorry, I'll let somebody else go. Penny?
Yeah, they, back 9/1/22, we sent them a violation notification, and they continued, as far as I know, to work on that. This is a blatant, do what I want and then go back. I was out there with you, Frank, when we had the wetland scientists out there, and there was no wall whatsoever. It was just a slope, and there was a ton of vegetation. This just blows my mind away because it is such a violation. And we already told them 6 months ago, you're in violation, and they just kept going. And now they want this foolishness. Oh no, this is an enforcement. I think you need to take this right to town council. I mean, this is so bad. All right, I got that off my chest.
Doug?
So I do remember bits and pieces of this project. There was a wall there previously.
No, there was not.
There wasn't a small wall?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, there wasn't. There was, I think.
Closer to the beach. That stayed put. Okay.
So
At the
this,
end of the property, there, maybe it's 3 feet high. That was staying put. Okay. This is up by the house.
okay. So
This
what was
stayed built.
what was approved under the conditions is on the left then, which is grading and then vegetation of the slope.
Right.
And you're saying that that was done and then ripped back out and this.
I
wall
don't think,
was
no,
put
I
in?
don't think they ever did it. They just put this big wall in and then put all this grass in.
Oh,
The
okay, I thought
majority
you had
of this-
said you
See where
saw
the
vegetation.
existing concrete retaining wall
Yeah.
on the plan? Okay, that was staying. That's been there forever, okay? But there was just supposed to slope down
And
from the
vegetate.
house. Grass, vegetation, so forth and so on. There was absolutely no boulder wall, retaining wall like that.
All right, so that constructed wall with the pictures, that it's like a seawall.
It's, yeah,
Okay. All right, I got it.
Um,
Hmm.
Jen, did she have to leave?
I think her babysitter went home.
Drop, yep.
Okay, Andy?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on this. I think someone said we had a good plan, so I'm fine going to enforcement.
Brendan?
I agree with the group about enforcement.
Okay. What else do you want to hear, Amy?
Well, I mean, you want for the wall to be taken down?
Yeah, it should be. It has no right to be there. I think you need to go right to town council. That's my feeling. I mean, this is so blatant. Absolutely, there should not be a wall there. And where's all the vegetation they were supposed to put in?
Do we have somebody in the audience with a hand up?
This would be the owner, I would say. But yes, okay. Do you want to take
I think
that?
you could put them on, sure.
Hi, this is David Maria Cahill, obviously the owners, and I just say, I think where the disagreement might be is the intent here, maybe we can go back, so the order as adopted that we followed.
Dave?
Yes,
You're a
yes.
little bit garbled. If you could try to just speak clearly. Sorry.
Let me move this, maybe my microphone, it's closer, is that better?
That sounds better. Thank you.
Okay, so I think where the confusion lies is in working backwards for Penny's question, there are over 300 new plants on the property, all of them native. A focus on them being pollinators, berrying, they are absolutely there. The process that went through here is as going backwards, when we cited the house from the old property on the raise and rebuild, part of the discussion was to move it further away from the resource area, which we were glad to do. So we moved it approximately 10 feet, the old structure, the new structure is approximately 10 feet closer to the street. The unintended consequence during that, the patio and the walkway that you're seeing the retaining wall supports is part of the owner, and that was adopted. Once we moved the property 10 feet closer to the street, the unintended consequence was it moved it into the heart of the grade of the property, which was not anticipated originally. So as the house was being built and as the patio that was approved coming off underneath the deck was being built, there were significant erosion concerns there. And the goal was to remedy the erosion concerns that were presented by moving it into the heart of the slope. Believe me, there was no intent to circumvent or try to do something nefarious here. It was, again, with the strong amount of plantings we put in, following the order to what we thought was the best of our abilities. This is not something that we intended to seek violation.
Okay. I think though, Mr. Kale, when the commission approves a set of plans, we have expectations that what we approved is going to be what's constructed. And then if that's not the case, and situations come up on the site where things have to be modified, the process would be that you, your engineer, whoever would come to the commission and say, hey, we've got an issue here. We can't put this together the way we originally planned, and we'd like to modify that, and would like permission to do that. That's obviously not what happened here.
Yeah, and that was not, I agree with you, we did not intend to do, we did not know that that was what was needed to be done.
So, you know, we meet on the site, we look at the site there, we hire a consultant. They work with your engineers, and we come up with a plan that we think is the correct application on that site, given the resource area and the regulations, and then we move forward. So now we've got a situation where there's something significantly different on the property. So I think you can hear from the commission that they definitely don't feel that it's a minor modification.
Mhm.
And I think that moving forward, from the commission standpoint, we had used a consultant, Bob Gray from Sabatis. He may have retired. Since then, I don't know if anybody's picked up on his thing, but I think the commission would want an opinion from a professional that we engage, to take a look at that and see whether or not what you've done there can be conditioned. Does that make sense?
Mhm. And I think that hopefully that some of those questions could be answered in the Stan Humphreys report.
Well, I think that's the case where if we get to that, we get that person, and then you get Stan, and just as the process went forward when you built your house and did that same process now has to be sort of repeated.
Mhm.
Right. And again, I do want to make sure that you understand, and this is the first time we've taken on something of this scope, and there were obviously mistakes were made. There's no intent here. The thought process behind as this was going on was the building was approved as moved forward. The walkway out back from the lower level was approved. The permeable patio, that was approved. What we didn't know and we didn't appreciate was as significant was we thought as that was approved, and then in the field learned that the grade was steeper and as such couldn't carry the plan as approved. I don't think we fully appreciated that the retaining wall to support the plan as approved would have been in significant violation.
Okay. Anybody else want to speak to this tonight? So my recommendation, Amy, is that we either reach out to Bob, or if we can't get Bob, that we find someone that can take a look at that, and then we find out from them what it would take to review this, and then we either set up some sort of hearing in terms of administrative review. Your thoughts?
And I think it's important to know we certainly appreciate where we are. We certainly appreciate mistakes were made. Our goal is to work with the town. Again, the plantings we were glad to do, the modifications we're glad to do. We've tried to be a good partner. Errors were made. We know we made errors. We're just trying to figure out how we can be part of the process and how we can rectify that so we can modify and find a way to strike the right balance.
Right. I appreciate that. And
Yep.
I think, again, I think that, I don't think we're at the ability to just sit here tonight and say, well, do this or do that. That's not.
Understood.
So I think the best thing for us to do is to have somebody take a look at it that can give us some guidance. We can, again, take a look at the areas where this exists, the grade, the whatever, and figure out where we go from here. And that would be obviously working or consulting with Stan or Paul or whoever.
Understood and appreciated.
Right. Amy, do you want to weigh in from here?
So, well, when we first began talking about this, I was thinking I was going to write, remove the wall. That was the message I was receiving, but now I feel like maybe you're telling me something different.
I don't know if I'm saying anything different. I think that we have a wall here. We have the applicant that's on here. We don't feel that this is correct. They've got, I guess, have we received a plan showing this wall and why, and
Yeah.
some correspondence from, I've missed part of this if we did. So I guess, we have to backtrack a little bit here and,
Yeah, Frank, it's right here on the screen. So
Yeah.
this is, Jen was able
The
to
as-built.
I get you.
cut and paste the plan,
Okay.
as built on the right, the approves on the left. So
Well, I think that, we could get a consultant, we can do what we did before, that consultant and some commission members could visit the site. We could take a look at it. I just, at this time tonight, I'm not prepared to say whether I think this is something that needs to be totally torn out or it needs to be modified, or it could stay. I don't know where
Yeah,
we are with that. We're obviously not happy about it, and we've explained that to the owners. So I guess the next step is how do we move forward?
right. And it sounds like the Cahills want to work with the commission to try to move forward to some kind of a solution. So that's good.
Right.
Very much so.
All right. Well, why don't we can, Amy and I can talk about this. We can figure out what we think we should do in terms of that, and we're going to have some correspondence. But I think a minor modification's off the table, so I don't even think we need to vote that, right?
No.
Correct. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Minutes.
Okay, I make a motion, we accept the minutes of March 20th as written.
Second.
Second from Doug, I think. All in favor? Andy?
Yep.
Brendan?
Yes.
Frank, yes.
I don't know what the 31 Kings Way, Amy.
Certificate of compliance?
Yeah.
Is that a septic system?
New septic system. So we issue it.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
Anything else?
Well, just real quickly, you guys most likely heard about the 5-alarm fire out on.
Yeah.
Very unfortunate, obviously, and also very thankful and lucky that everybody was okay, and Scituate's finest did a wonderful job with the other towns too, getting it put out as quick as possible. There is quite a bit of debris up there and it is secured. However, the owners are on notice that, the debris needs to be removed as soon as possible. We don't want a storm to come in and spread the debris. And as far as rebuilding goes, I'm still not sure on the answer to that. But I mean, obviously, when and if, when that point comes, it would be a notice of intent. There were 5 structures within 3 different properties, 3 different owners. Let's see, and with burnt debris comes possible soil impacts, so they'll want to be cleaning that up as well. So I just want to let you know that I've been working on that a little bit. Let's see, what was the other one that I had to talk about?
Does anyone know how it started, Amy, yet?
I believe it was associated to some work,
The work being done?
rehab at one of the properties.
Okay,
It's hot work, apparently.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we're quite busy and, town meetings coming up soon.
Amy, can I just, before we jump away from the fire, so are they making any plans to mitigate any of that? I mean, if that was this, you and I talked about this a little bit, if that was a site for construction, there'd be either some erosion control or at least some
Right.
review to take away all that. So are they moving to do that, or?
Yeah, it was current order that we put in is safety fence and silt sock.
Okay,
And then also, I've ordered that the soil beneath the burnt residues be. Frank, you
That's-
were expecting, that maybe there was some leachate that looked like it had gone down the beach. I didn't really see anything,
okay.
particular anything that couldn't be raked up. There's some like ember type stuff, but,
Yeah, just from one of the aerial photos, it looked like the amount of water they dumped on it, like a lot of the char and soot and stuff had washed towards the beach. I mean, maybe it's gonna wash away, but I just had noticed that in an aerial photo.
yeah, no, it's the area, the lot is so small, or the lots are so,
You can't believe 5 houses with it.
it is amazing. And then one of them has protection from the seawall,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean.
When I was down there, the chain link was on the whole perimeter,
Yeah.
was chain linked in. And Frank, when I was walking the beach just a couple of days ago, there was just a little bit on the beach of charred stuff, nothing major.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
Okay.
wouldn't be concerned about that. I think as soon as the chain link, erosion control inside the chain link or outside it would be wonderful. But at least the chain link is keeping most of it inside so they can clean it. Because we don't need that stuff blowing down the beach, no.
Right, yeah, and for the most part, it heaps. And I mean, and they are there's insurance companies and they are actively working towards getting it resolved, so.
Oh.
Okay.
Um,
Well, I'm glad we're at least keeping an eye on it.
yeah, no, we are a party to that with, we're in the inner circle.
Okay.
Department as far as in the meetings and stuff like that. Yeah, so Frank and I are meeting with town council midweek to try to push along some of our dead soldiers, so that's good.
Yes, get the new ones too.
Yeah, maybe, well, we're not gonna have that much opportunity, but.
Yeah.
Well, it's just,
Yeah, so.
Oh, town meetings Monday. I had put in hopefully CPC to get the engineering and permitting and all that stuff done for Mordecai Lincoln. And then another one for the actual construction of the driveway and parking lot up there. Because I would love to midsummer, end of summer, be able to let the public up there, but at the moment, until we get the driveway straightened out and a parking lot in, the public can't go up there. So hopefully they'll pass at town meeting.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Anybody else with anything on for tonight? Well, we do keep kicking a few of these things down the road, but I think we got past a few of them. So
Yeah. It's
I'm
tough.
We could adjourn before 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Do you want me to make a motion?
Unless anybody else has anything they want to add.
I just want you, after I make the motion, tell good old Doug about your visit with Jake. Doug would like to hear about that.
Well, let's make a motion and get done
I
with,
make a motion that we adjourn.
and a second.
Second, Andy.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes, I.
So we got, that's close enough. Thank you.